Hello friends! This time in making an ear warmer, I thought we'd add a few more colors and get this pattern. I like it. Nice little square in the center. We got additional colors. The back is the fleck. You want to make one like mine? I got the color combination for you. Let's get started. I hope you can read this. I can see it. Anyway, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a dark, light, and medium color. The first set of the stripes will create 27 rows. The dark we'll use 46 rows. And then the color combination will be 27 rows again. We are also using a 40-pin Sentro circular knitting machine. In the process of making this, you're going to find that using a 4-volt screwdriver, this one's in the shape of a drill, is actually helpful. We also have the adapter that will fit right here on the handle. The yarns that we'll be using, the fleck is from Bernat Premium Tweeds, and this is in the color of chocolate tweed. For my color combination, I will be using a light blue. This is from Impeccable, and a tan color from Red Heart with Love. In the making of these ear warmers, it's always good to have waste yarn. I chose a very light beige because the two end colors is a dark one. We want to have a contrast. So let's go ahead and find our dark pin. And we're going to go ahead and weave it around, starting with a 6-inch tail. We're going to wrap it around the first one, and then behind the second pin, in front under the hook, and behind and in front under the hook. And we're going to follow this repeat all the way around until we hit the black pin again. Now trust me, at first it takes a little while to get accustomed to this motion, and also having a loose tension of yarn on these pins as they go around. The last one will be in between the black and the white. At first, when we started it, we placed it between the black and the white. We want it to end where we started it at. Now we're going to go ahead and crank around. We're going to do this for about 5 or 6 rows. This will give a good anchor spot for the knitting, hopefully, so that it does not unravel. One end could unravel easily, while the other one will hold on pretty tight because of the way that the knitting is going. So we're going to do this for 5 rows. If you do 6 or 10, it's okay. It's not a problem. You always want to pull some yarn out to make it so that you have an easy tension on the machine. When you allow no slack, it creates a hardship on the needles, and it could cause drop stitches. So here I've done plenty of rows, so I'm going to stop, and I am going to cut my yarn a little longer, and it goes in between the black and the white on the left side of the black. We start here, but we finish here. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull up the dark brown yarn, And I'm going to start off with a 6 to 8 inch tail. It's always good to have more than what you need. Now in my tension guide, I have it on the largest hole. I'm going to pinch the first 2, 3 or 4 stitches, and then tie an overhand knot. And we're going to continue this for 6 rows. This is row 1, and this is row 2. Okay, we passed the pin again, so this is row 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull out my drill. Now, you have a right and a left. To make sure it's going in the right direction, make sure the right side is pushed all the way through, so that way it doesn't go backwards on you. And here we go. So we're on row 3. Oops. And there's a knot in my yarn, which we always watch it as it goes through, because you never know when these knots will pop up. We're beginning row 4. Row 5. Row 6. And we will go until we meet that black pin again. So here's the black pin. And we're going to cut a tail, and we're going to bring it back so it's in between the black and the white pin. Our next color is going to be blue. So we're going to pull out our blue with a tail. Make sure everything goes where it's supposed to. Now, if we start it here, we will drop stitches. So we're going to bring it in front of the white stitch, or the white pin, and go in between the black and the white. We're going to pinch these 2 yarns so that it can grip a couple of times. Then we're going to go ahead and place a square knot in it. We're going to go ahead and take out our drill. Make sure it's on the right, is pressed down, and we're going to do this for 4 rows. This is row 2, row 3, row 4, and then stop. Cut your yarn and pull it in between the left side of the black and in front of the white. Now we're going to go and do our tan color, 7 rows. You notice that when making these, they don't really take that long. I think the full length of this would probably be about a half an hour, but because I'm talking and doing this video, it takes a little bit. Okay, so we're starting row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and I have a knot in my cluster here. And row 7. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And in between the two. Our next color will be dark, and we're going to do 5 rows. Okay, so here we're on row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5. Okay, going back to our blue, we're going to do 5 rows of this. Okay. Always making sure that your right side of your drill is ready to turn. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and row 5. Okay. Isn't it nice to see how the color changing has come about? Okay. And we're going to go back to our dark color. Now you notice that I do have this needle on the other side of the thread guide, but I'm going to take the yarn and go in between because that's where I want it to be, between the black and the white. Okay, now according to our directions, we've completed all the stripes that we want to complete. So now what we're going to do is 46 rows of the dark color. So since I don't have a counter on this, I will be counting my rows. I'm not going to dredge you with that, so I will put a sequence in, but it'll identify that it's going really fast. We do not want these to go fast when we use our drill because this is plastic. Too much friction will cause it to melt. So I will identify it as a speed up in the video, and I'm going to do 46 rows. That took about 3 minutes to do 46 rows. It's not that long, but it is kind of boring to have to watch it in repetition. Okay, so I cut it, I placed it in the center. So we're going to go backwards now. So now we're going to add our blue. We're going to do 5 rows of the blue. Okay, making sure the right is on. So here's row 1, 2, 3, Then we're going to go back to our dark color, and we're going to do 5 rows of that. Now you notice that the whole time I've been making this thing, I've been using the largest hole for the tension. I find that when you use even 4-ply, you don't want it to be too tight because it can put a lot of stress on your needles. So we're on row 1. Okay. Row 2. Row 3. Row 4. And row 5. All right. Okay, then we're going to go to our tan. Okay, the tan, or the medium color, is going to get 7 rows. Okay. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7. Our next color is going to be the light color, which will get 4 rows. Alrighty. So here's row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Let's put on our last color, which is our dark color. And we are almost done with this ear warmer. Okay, so we have 6 rows of dark color yarn. So this is row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When we get to our black pin, we're going to stop. Now, because this is the end color, we want to have a large enough tail to sew it up and place it all into the center. And let's see, I'm going to go back to my waist yarn. And we're going to put a finished edge on it. Let me unroll some of this. Alrighty. Now, this beige, I'm not going to place a square knot on it. I'm just going to hold it tight so that the machine thinks it's all one yarn. Alright. Okay, so we'll use the drill. Now, the waist yarn can be used over and over again. Just make sure it contrasts. You see how the dark brown and the beige, you can see the color difference? if I was to use a dark brown with this, it would be hard to tell where the actual stitches are for the ear warmer as compared to the waste yarn. It's like I would not want to use a dark brown or black here. I mean, you could see it, but it wouldn't be 100% like it's supposed to be. You want a contrasting color. Okay, so my machine's telling me I got enough. Alrighty, now we're not going to add any more yarn. So now all we're going to do is crank it around. And you see how it's done, it's just going to come right off. And here's what we have. Let's go ahead and stretch it out. Doesn't that look nice? Okay, so next thing we're going to do is finish these ends up and then sew them together. Now before we do too much of anything else, we have all these yarns here that we tied and have long ends to, okay? So what we're going to do, since we've already tied them with square knots, let's go ahead and cut them with about 1.5 inches. And take your excess pieces and throw them in the trash. Okay, the one on the very end, do not cut. Okay, and it's just like this really long one on the end, we don't want to cut. We just want to make sure everybody's tied up. And then we're going to cut. There we go. So let's get out a crochet hook. I usually use a 4.5, but you can use any size you want, usually in the smaller sizes. And we're going to close up the end here. Now since this is a 40 pin knitting machine, we want to find our start and stop. You can see right here is where it ends. Our first stitch is right here, because we're going this direction. So count over 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this one, I'm going to place my hook in there and go to the next one over and put your hook through both of them. Bring one of the loops through the loop on the hook. And what we're going to do is go from side to side. So I'm placing it through the dark brown. I'm going to pull that loop through the loop on my hook. Okay, now we're going to go to the other side. Pick up that loop and pull it through. You can tell which one you want because it sticks up. The one that has the yarn over the top of it, that one pulls it down. You see right here? These are the ones that we want. So let's pick up this dark brown loop here, pull it through the loop on our hook. Okay. So continue this all the way down to here, and I'll meet you there. Okay, I filled up all of my loops. Okay, I believe this is, okay, we'll get that one. If it looks like it's a loop, loop it up. Then pull your yarn through. Okay, now how do we take off this? Okay, let's see what kind it is. Okay, this is the one we started with. So go to where the end is at and roll it out. Okay, come over just a little bit and see how the yarn goes through the little loops here on the end. Okay, grab it and pull it to your right. Okay, that's going to start it, but in order for it to go 100%, grab this, hold it with your left, because we're going to go all the way around, and pull. It's going to seem a little snug at times, but keep on pulling. And there's your tail. And then we can unravel it. And off it'll come. Now coil this up when you're done so you can use it on your next ear warmer. Like I said, if it's not a tutorial, it'll go by pretty quick. Now, the first thing we want to do is to give this thing a little tug and make sure that there's no loose stitches that we have to go save before it unravels. It looks like we're pretty good. So, go ahead and do the same thing to this side. We found our end, count over 20, and then start finishing it off. When you get to that point, I'll show you, well, this one's already starting to come undone. You see how this has gotten all the way down to here? That's what we're trying to eliminate, is having that unraveling before we get to our stitches, because it could cause this to unravel, and we don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and count over 20. Go ahead and interlock these loops, and then we can pull off the end one. Okay, so I have this end closed off. Now I want to find the end yarn. Here it is. And you'll see how easily this is coming off. This end, because it was the end, is just going to unravel as if nothing was going to stop it. So there we go, we pulled it out. Now let's double check, make sure we have no unraveled ends. Looking good. So next thing we're going to do is sew it up. So we're going to need a tapestry needle, and then we'll do that. Let me get mine out. So the end that you want to put your tapestry needle on is obviously the long one. Okay. And I'm just going to stick it down here in the middle so I don't lose it. Okay, so we have this laying out flat. So just take each end and fold it. No twisting or anything, just fold it. And then place one inside the other. It's like taking two C's. Okay, so here's this one. And here's this one. All right. Then let's find out where the end of this needle or this thread yarn comes out at. Okay. Now, since this one's in the middle, I'm just going to go along the end. You want to hit the upper parts of the stitch. And then come back and collect all four of them. And we're not doing stitch counting here, we're just going over and picking them up. But we want to make sure that we pick up all four layers as we do this whip stitch. I hope I have enough light on here so you can see what's going on. But that's all I'm doing, is picking up a little bit across the top on each four layers. When I get down to the end, I'm going to come back and go over it a second time. Doesn't hurt to have a little reinforcement. Okay, so here I'm coming down the other way. If I had two separate colors that was meeting here, I would want to go with the one that had probably the lightest color, but the choice is yours. So here we are at the end. Now I'm going to go ahead and lock this just by making one knot. Then I'm going to come down and go through the multiple layers, or the multiple stitches rather, and come back, and that'll help hold in that end. Then take my snippers and snip it, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm just going to run a running stitch and run back and snip it. So you ready for the final result? There we go. Looks nice, doesn't it? Looks like that first one I showed you, huh? I got two of them here. Alrighty. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I love the colors. Looks like a square. Could look like a circle. Alright, so I hope you have the opportunity to make one of these. I think you'll like it. It'll look nice with whatever coordinating outfit that you have. So, till next time. Bye-bye.